Hey guys, Chris here. So I've shown you some simple deadfalls. I've shown you a few simple snares. Now I want to show you a very simple way, and we're going to combine the two. So I'm going to use the same setup, and I'll show you this ring a little bit closer so you guys can see what I was talking about, where I said I'd woven some growing saplings. I kind of wove them together or wrapped them together. And we're going to use that same setup for that snare, that drop snare, except we're going to turn it into a deadfall. So it's going to be a trail set treadle bar deadfall, which you could modify it for very similar to what I'm going to show you here, and make it a trip deadfall as well. So let me get you repositioned, and I will show you guys this ring I made and kind of explain to you what we're going to do here, and then I'll set you guys back up and you can watch me from start to finish build this drop deadfall. Okay guys, so here was our drop for the snare that we had. So what we need to do is take this off of here, because we're not going to use this anymore, and we need to fasten it to this log I got here. And you can go as big as you want. If you can't get a bigger log but you need it heavier, you can always weight this down with stones or other logs or smaller logs or something. You can always weight this down to get to the desired weight that you need to be. And we're going to run it through this same nook we had up here that we ran our snare through. We're going to still use our toggle stick here, but our trap will end at the toggle stick. We do not need the excess here for the snare. So I'll get you guys set back up here in a second. Let me show you the ring I was talking about. So you can see here there's a bunch of saplings right here. The same was true on this side of the root. And so I just took and wove them together. I just broke it. So I'm gonna have to do it again. So I'll take and weave this side together, or I'll weave this side with this side here. And then I will get this trap set up for you. So let me reweave my base together, since I just broke it, and then I'll get you guys set back up. Alright guys, so I've got this somewhat woven back together, and it's pretty stout. I'm not going to jerk on it this time. I don't want to break it again. We were woven across right here, and I used this side and some of what broke off here to kind of weave it back together. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do first is get this clog off of here that we don't need. Now I'm not actually using cordage. This is sisal twine. It is very strong as is, but the more weight you're going to use, or the bigger animal you're trying to snare, you need to adjust what cordage you're using to that animal. That clog snare, the very primitive one I showed you guys earlier, I would turn 3 of these into cordage if I were to snare a deer with a clog snare. That's just my personal preference. This would probably hold itself up, but as it's not an actual cordage, it's basically twine or fibers twisted together. There's always that chance there could be a weak spot that will pull this apart. So we need to fasten this to here. We could set this at an angle. Ideally you don't want it to fall on this stuff. You don't really want it to break it. That doesn't always work out. On this, if it fell, this root here, there's a chance it could hold this up. So you need to position this across. So we're gonna have our, the example, let's say this is our treadle bar. We're gonna have it come out this way from our ring here. And let's say our trail's running across here. We want our deadfall to fall where it's gonna fall, where that treadle bar is at. So let's go ahead and get this tightened up on here. And I would hang this past, don't have it to where just the edge is gonna fall. Hang it past to where you know you're gonna cover the area of where that animal's at. So now we need to run this up through our nook up there. And you can see kind of how this is going to be positioned. And I'll go ahead and drop this, one, so I can test how it's going to fall, and two, just to make sure everything's going to work right. And I still have my toggle stick, so it may catch it up, but I think it's pretty good. Okay, so let me get my toggle stick off of here, because we're going to have to retie it in a different position. Okay, now I've got my toggle stick off. So now we need to figure out our treadle bar system, or we can go ahead and figure out the distance. So let's get this set up about like that. Get this tied on here. Okay. Let's get a tread bar. And we need a post stick. You don't really want to clear your area, and try not to touch as much around where you're setting your traps. That way everything looks a little bit more natural. Your scent is not all over the place. You want to spend as little amount of time as you can at your traps. Get this post stick or stake stick down in there. Pack it in a little bit. And any sticks you use as tools that you don't want to really drop them here. You need to get them away from your trail, so throw those out. Okay. So now we're pretty much ready, I think. So let's get our deadfall back in position. Now there's one issue with the way this is positioned this way, is when this flips out, it's going to want to catch this. There's always that chance. So if you could, it'd be better to put it around from this back side here. To adjust my length a little bit. I had to run it over a different branch up there, and it's not wanting to hold the weight as good. The only issue with going around from this back side is now we have to brace this from this side, which would make this more of a trip trail set deadfall than okay guys, so you can see here there is my deadfall. Now it's running up over a branch there. Not ideally the best branch, but it will work for now to show you guys this. And then it's running back down to my toggle stick. And then my trip bar is running across the trail there. Oh, and sorry guys, I accidentally hit the unrecord button. So what I would do is take and kind of brush this in to where anything that's going to go through there has more chances of knocking this over and dropping this deadfall on them. Alright guys, I got you set back up. You can see my trip running across here. There's my post. Here's my support brace, and that's just saplings woven together. And then the only thing keeping this deadfall from falling is my toggle stick right there. Here is my rabbit coming along, coming down the trail. You might fence this in as a funnel on each side just to force him through this chute right here. Let's say he comes in, this is in his way, he decides to either go over it or go under it or brush some of the sticks you got in the way, drops the deadfall, and hopefully you caught yourself a rabbit. I turn this around, let me reset this back up for you. Now I've got to put my post stick back in the ground. So let's get our deadfall raised up. Go around from the outside because we do not want this to flip back up. Now we need our trip line, trip bar, treadle bar. Okay, so that's pretty much set. Actually, I want to raise it a little bit just to make sure the animals are going to trip through it. You could add as many as you want. That's just to give you kind of an idea. So we've got our rabbit coming along here, or whatever it may be, coming down this trail here. We've kind of got this to funnel this animal through here. Now he's going to try to go over or under this or through it. Just nudge it out of his way, get it out of his way. Alright guys, so last trap. It's the same trap I showed you earlier where I ran my toggle around my woven ring here, and I've got my treadle bar running across, but I set this one up lower as a pressure plate. So my treadle bar is running over here to a post stick. I've got some support branches running across to create the pressure plate, and then I've kind of brushed it in just a little bit. And we've got our animal coming along the trail. Now we've got this kind of brushed in on each side, and on this side to create a funnel just to make sure that animal goes through where we want it to go through. But he's coming along here, gets up on this, drops the deadfall. And that's what one of these would look like after it was completely done, minus the funnels. And another thing you can do is underneath here is you could put your bait down underneath and then create your plate with all your sticks going down, and then that way when the animal comes up to it, it smells that bait and it starts digging in here and pushing on things and knocks your treadle bar free. A lot of times on these logs, a couple tips on them. So if you know anything about logs, they're round things like to roll. What you can do, say you've got a really long log you're using for your deadfall, is you can split it down the middle, drive a peg or a stake in the ground where that splits at, and that will kind of keep this thing from rolling, as well as on the upside where it's lifted up here, put some stakes on each side of it. You could do that as well, just to keep it driving down where you want it to go, to where it's not going to go somewhere you don't want it to go. So there you have it, guys. That is a very simple deadfall that you can set using nothing more than cordage.